everybody. This is Paul Hitchcock, founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. Welcome to Giant TV, and very excited to have my guest here today, Meshell Baker, who is the Chief Confidence Igniter. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Paul. So excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, and I've got to tell people listening, it's just so great because for me, the way you and I came together, Meshell, is the way things are supposed to happen. So you're a regular guest on a podcast I listen to on Spotify. That's where I first heard you. Scott Hyver's podcast about selling and marketing and branding, a bunch of stuff. You're on there. I heard you and you resonated with me with what you were saying. You're speaking the same language. I said to myself, I got to, who is this woman? Got to meet her. So I reached out to you and we got connected. You're here now. We got other things we're talking about that are mutually collaborative, cool things on, on the side. But it's what I tell people I work with is, you put yourself out there on the podcast. It's not a money thing for you. You put yourself out there. I think good things happen when you do that. And I think this is a testament to that.
Yeah, I absolutely. I love the inclination. So you had this spark of intuition, like, oh my God, I'd love to talk to this person, and you follow through on it.
Yeah.
That often leads us to opportunities that you can't even put words around how incredible they are. And we are not often taught how to do that. Most people suppress that. They really don't have an intuitive voice that they follow when it comes to making decisions. So I'm really excited to have this conversation because I think it's a skill that's lost. And when you find it, it's such an art that will lead to more productivity and profitability for employees and organizations.
Yeah, I love the way you say it, which gets us into let the folks know here who the heck you are and what you're doing and what your focus is. I know, but I want everyone else to know.
Well, to sum it up in a sentence, what I love to do is to translate the perception of chaos into a profitable confidence. Uh,
Okay.
that really is my interest, and it really is taking people who are unfocused, indecisive, uncertain, insecure, and really helping them understand how to make better decisions. And it can be employees or leaders, but there's generally, when people come across me and hear me and bring me and invite me into their team or organization or even their one-on-one, it's because they've hit a juncture where their doubt has cast over their ability to make clear decisions that they are trusting and believing will lead to somewhere favorable, somewhere, productive or profitable. And they are now in a space of either not just being insecure, but blaming circumstances and people instead of being accountable and responsible to create what they're completely capable of creating.
Very interesting. So, Meshell, are you talking about a personal obstacle that they may have hit, or something in the business, or all the above?
It's all the above. You never actually understand why some people hit this juncture. It could be a trifecta. You could have a manager who had a bad quarter or a year that's going through a divorce, or somebody who, child has been diagnosed with something and they are transferred to a new division that turned out to not be the best team based off because they're comparing it to where they were before, or somebody took a job and it's not what they thought it would be. And they're like, so generally what happens is people start to allow little bitty circumstances to become situations that cause them to have disbelief. Right? This
Mm-hmm.
is fair, this happened, or this is hurtful, or this didn't turn out the way I wanted to turn. And over time, that will start to add up. And what people will start to focus on is what's not working.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like a seed that takes root, and you go from one day having one instance to the next thing you know, you're complaining about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It leads to utter chaos and dysfunction, is what you said.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But Meshell, then how do you know? So, first of all, who are you working with? Are these small businesses, large businesses, teams? You're like all of them?
Yeah, well, it's been interesting because it's been like, kind of like I don't even know what to call it now, but a pot. The first thing that came to mind was like a gumbo. I'm from the South, and you throw a bunch of stuff in a gumbo and it's delicious, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that came to mind. But I mean, I work with organizations as small as where I did the all the company wide event, and I did a training, started with the leaders, and there was like, 30, 40 leaders, and then I did a 200 company wide, training, and then, fleshed it out and then kept working with leaders to over a period of time, right? So things like that, where that's the whole organization, the total 200 people, where I'm going out to Atlanta next month to work with a division of UPS, right?
Oh,
That's
okay. Okay.
that's the,
Yeah.
like a top 100, right?
Yeah. That's not a small company.
Yeah, so what happens is I'm found. I am generally most often found at an industry conference like Women in Trade,
Oh,
Women in Manufacturing, Women in Tech. I'll speak there, and then there'll be division leaders there who are like, "Oh my God, we got to take you. We got to have you come talk to our women in operations. We have to come talk to our, sales team. We need you at a kickoff. We need you at an International Women's Day event." So that's how those conversations start, and it just leads to more. And it's led to more and more.
okay.
So what I tell every client is, I will exceed your expectations. And
Hmm. Yeah, no, I believe it. So the people that you work with, they know they've got an issue, or they know that there's an area where your input is helpful, which is great to be approached like people like, in that scenario. I mean, that's incoming, right? They know they got a problem, and so they're incoming to you, which is great. You're not having to go out to them and try to convince them. So then when you go in there, what does that engagement look like, and how does it lead to one-on-one? And then are they getting vulnerable with you? I mean, what's happening in the one-to-ones as you get into that?
Okay, great question. I love all
Yeah.
of these questions, Paul. So example, I did Women in Trucking. That was November. So I follow up, and then they'll have like their own, call them ERGs, which are employee resource groups, or
Yeah.
BRGs, which are business resource group. Every company has their own little acronym for it. And so they'll bring me in for that. Like, that's how I end up doing stuff for International Women's Day. Another organization, they actually have I met someone, and she's doing healthcare week at her company, and they wanted me for a kickoff. Or, someone heard me and recommended me to what was it, UPS. That's how I started there. I was their closing keynote for their sales and marketing kickoff.
Oh,
um,
okay.
and I started getting working with their women's leadership development and women's in operations. So they'll, based off of what they hear me and what the like, if I'm doing it in person or virtual, what the feedback is to the leader. So
Okay.
I tool that I use so that the leadership can get feedback and testimonials. And based off of what that original conversation of what they wanted to create and the outcome, because they match and marry exceedingly well, that's how then they'll go, okay. And then remind them, a talk is just interest. So when you do a presentation or a breakout at a conference, somebody's dabbling in education. You're
Yeah.
not transformation. My commitment is that I can transform your people. That takes time. That takes
Hmm.
coaching, the integration, the knowledge, the feedback. It's a loop. It's an educational loop that transpires, that you will not be able to create that unless it's an ongoing, consistent practice where people are coming back, engaging in what they learn and restating what they learned.
Hmm. God, that what you just said, they're dabbling in education, but it's not transformation. That is incredible. I love that. That makes a lot of sense. I just wrote it down. So then, like for UPS, Meshell, when you went in there and it was a sales and marketing, kickoff, whatever it was, were you talking about this thing of limiting behavior and chaos, or was that different because it was a sales and marketing specific thing?
The title of the talk was Unleashing Your Unstoppable Leadership.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
exactly what I talked about. And I am a former loader. I loaded trucks at UPS 20 years ago. So the actually, I told them, and I tell people I'm actually formerly incarcerated. So UPS was the first job post incarceration where I believed in myself. Like, here I was, I had waited tables, I had cleaned toilets, I had worked retail, I had took all of these kind of jobs that were just like not even felt like real kind of jobs. And then I got to work for this company that has brown trucks everywhere, right? Like, come on, it was UPS. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was given a gift, an opportunity. It was loading trucks. It was the hardest thing I ever did. And I was so fun to share the story. Like, here I am. I've always been fluffy, right? So here I am sweating like every night I thought I was going to die. However, it was my first experience of complete knowing that even in the face of circumstance, I would not fail.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had been given an opportunity, and therefore, their failure was not an option. It was just I didn't know when I would succeed. I didn't know when the ability to load would actually kick in. I just kept doing what they told me every night with the hope that one day I'd walk in and I could do what they tell me. And there's this process where you actually have to need to create these T's. And anybody who's loaded understands that, where the boxes so they won't cave in and you're building
Oh,
like a brick wall with T's, and you have to look at the box and just know when you're building. You just start to know, right?
yeah.
And eventually it happened. And that was the first instance that I can remember in, actually physically, mentally, spiritually experiencing what faith was. And
Mm.
I've never let go of that. And so to be able to go back full circle and talk to these leaders and remind them, that's what people need. They need to believe in something. They are hurting. You have a population of a workforce that is, trying to get by, trying to make a life that makes sense, and comparing it to things that aren't real, and coming to work unhappy, not recognizing that most of their life will be at work. And if you don't find some semblance of ease and joy in what you do, your entire life will be miserable.
Yeah.
Able to
Yeah.
communicate and help people find that it's not it's not your fault, right? However, as a leader, you're actually responsible.
Mm-hmm.
There's no magic pool of people anywhere now. What
Yeah.
you what you got?
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. And so as you're talking, I'm thinking, um, so the leader's responsibility is to interject, some joy and purpose there. But do you go in with a certain level of assumption that these employees are feeling a certain way? Or is there some metric at the company where they say, hey, we're looking at this metric, you need to come in, or what is the driving force of having you in there?
The driving force of what will have me in there is that generally someone has actually already heard me speak, or I've met them somewhere or been introduced to them because I've like maybe called a prior client and said, hey, I'm looking to book more speaking and get more speaking opportunities. Like, oh, I just met someone. Oh, I just talked to someone. That's how it happens a lot. And
But
then
they drill down to what you're talking about, what the problem might be.
actually, so when we get on a call, I ask them, what are you experiencing now that you would like to transform? What are
Oh,
you
okay. Okay.
experiencing with your employees or with your team that you would love to transform so that you can see them be more productive? And then that overall is more profitable. It's a win-win. So you help them
Mm-hmm.
be productive, right? And then
Yeah.
everybody's more profitable.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I understand that. And then would you refer to yourself as a motivator at all? I mean, I mean, you have to be somewhat of a motivator, but you're just not a rah person. You're getting into a lot of the grainy detail. How would you describe what you do, who you are?
It's interesting. I know I've been kind of put in that bucket as a motivator. I consider
Yeah.
myself a transformer. My goal whenever I speak to an individual or an audience or a group is to not just have them excited, because excitement is going to wear off. We know this. Discipline is what, right? They always say talent doesn't beat out hard work, because when someone is disciplined, they will always do better than the talented person, because
Mm-hmm.
that's playing on, and when they feel like it, when it feels good, when it works out for them, discipline is going to do it because they know the results will always come. As long as you're consistent and persistent, the results will always come. So
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to be transformative, to help someone see something that they can do consistently
Mm-hmm.
every day. That's what I want. people to see? What is that one thing you can start, that you can spark right now, every day? Start today, not tomorrow, but today. As soon as you get off the call with me, as soon as you walk away from me, can you, like, if you can just put gratitude in place? Gratitude is a game changer. Tell people you
Mhm.
can just start being grateful today. When you
Mhm.
leave this talk, go call one person and say thank you. Go call the last person you argued with and say thank you. I appreciate you. Right?
Mhm.
Because what, you'll stop having that whack-a-mole nagging thing in your head reminding you of this incident where you feel bad about yourself, but you probably deflect to saying something's wrong with them. But it constantly gives this creation of negativity in your system.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
again, go say thank you and appreciate them, you'll get rid of the negativity.
yeah, yeah,
So little things that you can actually do every day that will become expansive within your and help your imagination. Imagination is infinite and unending. However, in most individuals, it's working against you. You're
yeah.
imagining what could go wrong, what didn't happen right, what did somebody say to you that doesn't feel good, how bad it is, how wrong it is, how unfair it is. Most people are using their greatest gift and tool against themselves.
Interesting. Yeah, and really resonating what you're saying about what can you do, how can you execute. I mean, I was having discussions today on, you know, building a business, a coaching practice, and selling, marketing, and converting to clients, and a lot of people kind of flop around on that where they don't know what to do on the conversion phase. So they have all these leads in the system. So I just got into, you know, on a minor level compared to what you're talking about, but into time blocking, execution. What can you do today? And just be robotic about it, and the results will follow.
So I have a my mentor, one of my mentors, Terry Maxwell. She afraid, the way she said it, and I've coined it, is that when you, until you can't not do it,
Until you
it's always
can't not do it. It's what?
right. So until it becomes a habit. So a habit is the meaning that you don't have to think about it. That
Oh yeah.
it's this becomes your identity. If it's not your identity, it's work. And the minute it becomes work, you will opt out. Your mind can get a foothold and you can create excuses, alibis, and justifications why you can't do it. Success makes habits out of the things they know generate results, period.
So Meshell, about the one-on-ones, tell me, how does that work? What goes on there?
Yeah, so a great question. Generally, the way people find me for one-on-ones is, again, I've been speaking somewhere, I've done a presentation. It's either at an industry event or at their company, and they reach out to me, and they are personally at a juncture where they've been incredibly successful, yet they're dissatisfied. They don't have fulfillment. They're like wondering, like, I've had women who are ready to divorce, or it's like they're just losing their mind.
Yeah.
Nothing bringing them happiness. And this is males and females. They're just like, how have I gotten this incredible career, yet I am so dissatisfied? I am so questioning, like, all my decisions and choices. So what we work on is what I call legacy work. That's when people work with me one-on-one, when they're looking to create a life that's fulfilled, where they continue to continue to expand and do even greater things in their life, but it becomes more purposeful
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that they're doing, because, they're following. Most people have never written out a clear, captivating vision that compels them. They are following what they think they need to, ought to, should do, and they've never sat still and actually said, this is who I want to be, why I want to do it, and what I'll have.
Is that like a value proposition statement? Would you say it's something like that?
To that, yeah.
Yeah.
But you've never decided, clearly define who you're going to be and your why, you're following the recipe that was given you as a child, something you
Yeah.
made away because you
Yeah.
inside of you and you believe that it was going. So you're following something external instead of internal, and satisfaction and fulfillment only generates internally.
Well, okay. I mean, you and I could go on forever talking about all this stuff with you. It's so great. But I'll ask you this. So, um, where are you going from here? Like next, 3, 5 years, is there a big transformation for you going forward, or is it more of what you're doing?
So my transformation is that I have acknowledged within the last 12 months, I acknowledged that speaking is what I love to do and what I'm amazing at. So speaking on more stages and building out tools. So thinking about how what I love to do is help transform individuals and organizations. So how can I create subscriptions or, programs that help them is cost effectively will help them to help their employees, help the people to become productive, help the
Yeah.
people want to operate in excellence. And it's very amazing because we don't live in a planet that really touts excellence. That we talk about results, however, they really don't talk. Everybody wants the sausage, but no one wants to make it.
Very true. Very true.
It's like when I'm speaking, a question I ask sometimes my audience is like, how many people want their life to be amazing? How many people want their life to be incredible? How many people would love it if you could just bump up into something magnificent at least 1-2 times a week? Every hand goes up. I said, now, let me ask you this. What's the last time you did something amazing?
What happened?
You actually did something that you would consider incredible. Raise your hand, right? When was the last time you knew that given the opportunity to not do it, you decided to do excellence? You didn't have to, but you knew that it was in the best interest of all involved. So you did it anyway. You don't have to. I want you to just think about it, because if you are not saying yes to all of that, then you will never experience amazing, incredible, and magnificent. It has to be you who's doing it so that you can experience it. It's easy math.
Yeah. Period. Period. I get it. I get it. So much to talk about there. I want to tell everybody listening. So Meshell's information is going to be around this video, this interview, wherever you're watching it. We stream this everywhere. I highly encourage you, connect with her, get in her network as I have. There's a lot of stuff we can grab from you because she's giving before taking in so many ways. And so Meshell, thank you for this. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, this has been absolutely incredible. I've enjoyed meeting you. Look forward to doing more fun things. And anybody listening, just reach out, because the one thing it will be, if you work with me, it will always be amazing.
Never boring, I can tell you that much. Thank you. Thank you.